Sorry, that's my wake-up call. Be a little quieter now. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to DOC NYC, day 5 of our festival, the first day of our Insiders Conference. My name is Tom Powers. I'm the artistic director of the festival. Want to give a big thanks to the woman who produces all the DOC NYC pro panels and has just been doing an amazing job. Please thank Deborah Rudolph. So let me also thank some important people, our sponsors, our leadership sponsor, HBO Documentary Films, our major sponsors, A&E Indie Films, and Netflix. Our supporting sponsor, Sundance Now Club, leading media sponsors, New York Magazine and WNET, and a huge thanks to the DOC NYC staff and volunteers. And the last group I want to thank is the group The Screening Room, who sponsored our bagels and coffee this morning. If you didn't have a chance to visit with them today, I think they're going to be around a little bit longer in between breaks. You should check out their very cool technology that helps filmmakers working in different places work on edits and watch cuts, and it's very cool stuff. So we've got these 4 days of Insider Conference. You pick up a DOC NYC Pro schedule, you'll get the lowdown on that each day has a theme. And we start each day with what we call a morning manifesto, which is kind of lightning round, half-hour conversation with someone that we think has a lot of value to add. And we're going to try to, in this half hour, squeeze as much information as we can out of them, like a lemon. Don't be scared. Our first one this week, our first contestant, is Abigail Disney, who runs the Fork Films, a fund for documentary filmmakers. Among the films that she's funded include 3 playing here at the festival, Babushkas of Chernobyl, From This Day Forward, and Taekwondo La Luz. You can find out more about her fund at forkfilms.net. But Abigail Disney has also stepped forward as a director this year with an extraordinary film called Armor of Light, about a pro-life preacher who is taking a fresh look at the gun control movement. And before we start talking, let's watch the trailer for Armor of Light. Abigail, thank you for being here. So in the half hour we have, I want to ask 2 sets of questions. One about your experience directing this film, and then 2, get your best advice as someone who's funded a lot of other people's films. So let's start with Armor of Light. You've had a lot of experience producing for other people, shepherding people with support. When you took on the role of directing, what were the things that what were your biggest learning experiences from that?
I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about directing in general, and it kind of fed my thinking about films just in general and what I want to see happen in them. So first of all, as a producer, you can have 65 things going, and as a director, you can't. And that means it's a structurally different job. And it was really difficult for me to carve in that time, in my brain, not the time, but in my brain. And so that has implications going forward for me that I don't really know what to do with. It gave me an insight into, I used to think, why are directors so insecure? And now I get it. That's just realism. The insecurity is like your constant companion, and self-doubt, and of course those things are actually constructive drivers of you really making sure that you really believe what you believe and you're committed to your vision. So it's a very
That's a very profound thing to say. I mean, I feel like that's a breakthrough, and maybe every person who funds films should take a hand trying to make one to get that insight.
Sure, no question. I mean, I've done 2 things that have been really valuable. One is directing, the other is raise money for films I'm making, and so I think it makes me more compassionate about it.
And talk about the philosophy you have towards the projects you pick, and how that's reflected in Armor of Light. And Armor of Light is taking on a very difficult issue. I was saying to you before, I know just how difficult it is. I made my own film called Guns and Mothers in 2003, and that it's a toxic issue. It's an intractable issue, and you come at it from a really interesting angle in this film.
Right. Well, I really learned a lot from my first film, which is about Liberian women who call themselves peace builders, and that's the thing. You build peace. Peace doesn't just lie there waiting for you to arrive at it. It's something you have to build toward. And so I take very seriously what I learned from these women. And Layma Bowie, who went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize, has become just a very close friend. And so I've taken a lot of my thinking into Armor of Light from them. And mainly it was, when she really knew that something important had to happen, something paradigm shifting, it meant she had to go talk to Charles Taylor. You have to go to the opposite end of the planet, to the person who scares you most, who lives on the furthest end of what you think your value system is, and you have to sit down with them and talk. And that's what we don't do in this country. So I decided that with love in my heart, I would go and I would talk. And what came out of that is this film. And I really wanted to bring a loving acceptance even to people that I think don't share any of my values, or because in fact they do share your values, they just understand the implications of those values differently. So I brought with me into this film everything that I have lived all these years, mostly that I have lived kind of a double existence. I grew up into a progressive, but I got my start in a John Birch Society home. So I understand what those values are. I don't reject them. What I do in my life, I do because of what I was taught, not in spite of it. And so, they taught me to be generous. They taught me to be loyal. They taught me to be honest. They taught me to be fair. And I don't see those values reflected in contemporary conservatives. I see radical values. And so it was with that in my heart that I went to Rob Schenck, basically saying, I think I understand why you do what you do. If I agreed with you, I'd probably be right next to you. And so can we just set that aside for a minute, choose to talk about everything but the thing we disagree about, and find out whether there's common ground. And that's how I went into all these churches, and that's how I went into every relationship. And that's how I think of film. It's a loving gesture. We have such a power with film, and that's part of what is so amazing about having directed and seeing a film have an effect on an audience. It's an incredibly profoundly gratifying feeling to have it have the effect you wanted it to have. This is a magic power we have in our hands, and how many people are using it to promote violence, to promote sexism, to promote racism, to promote and widen every chasm in our society. That's why I love us, doc makers, because generally speaking, we use it to narrow the chasms. We use it to build bridges. We use it to foment more love rather than more hate. And so that's what the philosophy I take with me into the films I want to make, but also the films I want to support.
You described to me before that your background as a philanthropist. Early on, you didn't see films as a worthwhile place to put money, or as a place to put money that would affect change. And then you did a 180. Can you talk about how you made that turnaround, and what you've seen, why you now think there's value in funding films for change?
Right. When I first met Jenny Rediker, who has become my partner in filmmaking 20 years ago or something like that, she had young kids, we were both young kids, and I was like, I don't do film, Jenny, no, that's not my... And now I want to punch myself in the face for that. And I said I would help her raise money, and then I connected with this woman who ran her through this whole maze and then said no. So I didn't know she'd gone off hating me, hating me after that. In the meantime, I spent a lot of years in women's funding in particular, and funding around the way women organize in communities. And when you do that, you find yourself in a relationship to the grassroots. It's just the way, because women aren't really accepted into the systems that rise above the grassroots. So they, by nature and by definition, do all their organizing at the grassroots. And you watch the way systems change and you watch the way attitudes change from the ground up. So, you know, there are films that are grass tops films. Invisible War is a grass tops film, Inconvenient Truth is a grass tops film. And that's not necessarily how I want to operate as a filmmaker. What I saw when Pray the Devil Back to Hell came out, you know, I made that film because I had gone to Liberia, I had heard this story. I was infuriated that nobody knew this story. It made me furious. These women had risked their lives and they deserved our respect and attention. They deserved to be remembered. And how many women have we forgotten that we don't even know about? We can name Sacagawea, but believe me, she represents thousands of others we can't name. So, you know, one could be pulled back from oblivion and held up. I actually didn't realize, I thought it would be a nice side effect if other people saw it and felt inspired. I didn't realize that that would be the core of what happened. So that film's been to 70 some odd countries. I've personally taken it to 32. And I've personally sat there and watched a whole group of people shift on their axes. I mean, shift in a fundamental way. In Congo, we had men approach us after the screening saying, you know, I always thought women were kind of worthless, and now I feel sort of differently about that. I mean, that's 78 minutes, 72 minutes. That's, you know, that's not enough to really change a person permanently, but boy, that's a powerful moment in a life, and in the life of this room full of people, and in the life of all the relationships that fan out like a spider web from that room. And I thought, my God, all this time I've spent, and money I've spent on social change, and like nothing has even come close to touching what this one film did. So yeah, it was, I slammed on the brakes and I threw it in reverse rather than a 180 because I realized that I found something incredibly powerful.
Now, you know, so many filmmakers have projects, need money, and the other side of the money giving is often very mysterious to them. You know, it's hard to know, you know, how much should I put. I wonder if you could just like give your own sense from, you know, from someone who works with filmmakers and funds filmmakers. What do you want to, you know, get from a filmmaker? You know, what are the, you know, best rules of etiquette there?
It's because I have raised money too, and I actually did the math. I was walking home yesterday. I realized in 7 years I've raised about $7 million for various films. So I feel your pain. I really feel your pain. And there are moments where, like, I'm looking at someone from across the table and I'm thinking, I am making so much sense. I am hitting it out of the park here. How do you not see that you have to give me your money? And I want to like grab them by the collar and like, I don't want to give you your money. Maybe turn them upside down and see if anything falls out of their pockets. So I understand that this is a really frustrating business. We have a problem of not enough money. I mean, that's very clear. So we need to talk as a community about how we bring money into this space, because, you know, when I started raising money for Women, War, and Peace in 2008, October of 2008, that's when we said it was a great idea. And somehow we managed to get there. But, you know, a lot of the funders were actually leaving this space and telling us straight up, we don't believe in docs anymore. We don't think it makes a difference. And, you know, part of that is their problem. They're too addicted to measurement. They don't know how to measure the change that comes out of docs. And so many of them are just, because they can't report to their masters that they've changed anything, so therefore nothing happens. So that's partly a problem in philanthropy, and I'm working on it. I'm gonna get that fixed right up. But part of that is we need to make our case better to other funders as a group, just to create a better, healthier ecosystem.
Talk about that. So how do we do that? We
need to go to philanthropy conferences. We need to go, for instance, the Acclaimed Global Initiative should have at least one plenary session on film and social change. They need to sit down in front of that plenary and all those billionaires and say, you need to be in this space, because if you really think the world should change systemically, if you want to make paradigm shifts, this is where it happens. So we need allies, powerful allies, and we need a TED Talk, and we need to go where the billionaires are, because the billionaires can really shift things. Okay, so you don't know any billionaires, I know. I don't know, I've met some billionaires, but I don't know any either, but the ones I've met are kind of assholes, generally speaking. and I think you can't be a billionaire unless you're an asshole, because when you think about what it takes to
seems to be a price of entry.
Yes, exactly. It's my one prejudice, actually, is a white, male, 20-something billionaire. I had no time to get that. But anyway, So etiquette is a bit of a problem, right? Because I'm gonna have to leave to make a train, and I apologize in advance to all the people who are gonna wanna buttonhole me up the hallway. And buttonholing me up the hallway is a very smart thing to do. Actually, I funded a number of
Just not today.
Yeah, just not today, I've gotta make an 11 o'clock break, but buttonhole somebody is a really, actually kind of a good idea. If you can go to a place where somebody who's a funder is talking or whatever and talk.
You described that my friends Joe Bauer and Rana Gradas, who made Hot Girls Wanted, and before that Sexy Baby, they got your attention that way.
They came right up to me after a talk at Tribeca and told me about the film Sexy Baby, which they were still really early in, and they convinced me to look at a DVD. Now, mind you, I had a lot more time on my hands than I do now because of all the DVDs people ask me to look at, but it, resonated with me, and that's the second thing. It's like, if you buttonhole somebody and you're not resonating with them, please let them go, let them leave, because it only works, the personal relationship, if there's a reason for it to work, and the reason with Sexy Baby was I had 2 teenage daughters, and, I was really in the thick of thinking about these issues, and they seem to have an angle on it that was interesting to me. So finding people who resonate with what you're trying to do is really important. So try to broaden your universe of people that you're looking at, and be imaginative about that. Like, if you look at other films that are in the same vein as your film and watch the credits and the thank yous all the way to the end, including all those, like, and Uncle Joe and all these things. Read every name, even, screenshot them, whatever you can do, and research those people. Because as individuals, they can really help you along, not just in terms of writing you checks, but supporting you, introducing you to other people, networks, just everything you can do to expand your networks. So try to find the universes where people who resonate with your issue, not just the usual film funders, are hiding out. Because that's where a lot of really interesting support comes from, is the people who are new to film, who it isn't just another day at the office for them. They become really passionate and they become really great advocates of your film. So try to broaden your universes and think outside of just MacArthur and Ford and all the usual suspects, of which I now officially one. And so that's really important. And I don't give up on a funder until they've said the word N-O to me. I mean, I've nodded politely at all sorts of dodges and whatever, but I will not let them off the hook until they've actually said the word no to me. Because you'd be amazed at how much money you can get out of a person who just wants you to go away. They will pay you money to just leave them alone. And that's actually, I think that persistence is a really important trait, because it comes from the passion. I mean, you really have to believe in what you're doing, and it is a convincing quality.
Polite persistence is the phrase.
Polite persistence. This is probably redundant. I don't imagine any of you is in the thick of making a project that you don't feel convinced of and great passion for, but if you can find a way to convey that in whatever you write and whatever you say, that really makes a big difference to me as a funder, is how deep in this is this person. I kind of am not interested in the filmmakers who are just making a film and moving to the next one and making a film and moving to the next one. That was why the funders lost interest in our sector to start with, because they saw the kind of production line quality that was happening. And films have very long tails. I am still screening Pray the Devil Back to Hell. I am still watching rooms change. I'm still being asked to go this place and that place. You can make a good film that has a real resonance and changes people's hearts, can play forever. And if you walk away from that film to do your next one before it's really matured and had a chance to make all that difference, then what has become of all that hope of social change that all those funders came with you into your film about? So I want to see that my filmmakers are committed to really walking this thing out as far as they possibly can.
So we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to bring it back to Armor of Light. You've talked a couple times about that importance of bringing a film to an audience. In the case of Armor of Light, you said to me that the audience that you care about is less maybe a typical liberal documentary going audience. You're trying to reach the evangelical, pro-life audience that's represented in your film. For filmmakers who are interested in reaching those kind of new audiences, talk to us about what you've learned.
Right. Well, and as a funder, I would say to you, new audiences, please, because that's the other thing is we get so many films that are just gonna preach to the choir, and I don't know, somebody said to me, choirs need to practice, that's good too. But yes, new audiences, because God, think of how small our audiences are. There are a million new audiences out there. So yeah, we're so segregated politically that the evangelical world is, things happen there and we don't even know about it. A volcano could go off in Kansas and we wouldn't know about it. So it's really interesting. So I'm really I'm fumbling blind trying to figure this world out. But yeah, it seems to me that if you can get a new group of people talking about a thing, I've kind of forgotten the question. Then maybe you got a chance to really make a difference. The trick is that you can't act like an interloper. You can't come in like you're God and you're going to tell them how the world works. We do that as documentary filmmakers a lot. And so the finger shaking and the lecturing, it will never happen. And what we've gotten, one of the reasons I think we're resonating with right-wing audiences is because there's none of that in the film. Although Rob does finger shaking, but he does it from their point of view.
From the inside.
Yeah. So they're accepting because it feels like a film that came from inside of them. So you have to, if you want to reach new audiences, what you have to do is love them enough and respect them enough to not want to tell them how to make everything right, but to embrace their values and come up from inside. And then you have a chance of really, the world changes incrementally. It never changes in one big radical step. You have to be content with incremental steps.
Abigail, this has been so pleasurable to listen to you. For those of you who want to know more about Abigail's fund, it is forkfilms.net. We have to get her off to her train, but if you want to follow up with her, you can write to info@forkfilms.net with polite persistence. Keep it going. We're going to take about a 5-minute break or so while we reset the stage. So do a bathroom break, run upstairs for another coffee, but come back down quickly because we've got another great panel. Thank you all for being here. Thanks especially to Abigail.